Hey there, I'm here just to make a video quick about my the progress on my Rigidbot mods and everything that's come up. I know I said I was going to do this a long time ago. Well, I'm finally here, finally doing it. First things first, I apologize for the bundle of wires down here as well as this crooked one here. I previously had this set up in a dual extruder mode. As you can see over there, there are 1 and 2 Bowden connectors or pneumatic connectors for the Bowden drive, but unfortunately I'm an idiot and I fried my original board. So right now I only have it set up in single extruder mode for better initial prints and getting it calibrated. The reason it needs to be calibrated is because down here, the stock location, I have essentially a smoothie board. I bought an Aztec Aztec GT5 or whatever it is. That has, I bought 5 of the Bigfoot, nice 5 of the Bigfoot BSD 2660 drivers. They're based on the Trimatic 2660s, but they're Bigfoot drivers. Those the BSD 2660s have an advantage of being capable of supporting up to 3 amps. So in case I want to go to a CNC, not on this machine, but in the future, I can swap that over. As well as having all the advanced features of the TMSC 2600 or 2660 chips, which is stall guard and being able to configure the current and everything via SPI instead of having to do it with a trim pot and multimeter, as well as just having better microstepping. As you can hear, all you can hear on this machine is essentially the whir of fans. There is pretty much no stepper noise. Sometimes my extruder is the noisiest part with the filament pulling in, creating a noise, but otherwise this thing runs pretty dang quiet. Another favorite part about this board is the fact that it has Ethernet built in, so I can actually access it via the Smoothie web interface, which is really nice. So I don't have to have either a Raspberry Pi hooked up to it or anything else. So I really appreciate that. So I really like the Aztec GT X5 board. The documentation's pretty crappy in the end. But I've been tweaking it and trying to figure it out, and so far I'm really liking the switch to Smoothie. This is my first Smoothie board. Previously I was running all stuff in Marlin, so that's a different change. Now for the upgrades that I've done and kind of the mod progress. As you can see, it's not a direct drive, it's a Bowden, so it comes in there, goes into the Bowden tube, and then goes into the hot end. Hot end is E3D V6. I've done both Volcano and regular sometimes. It's really just whatever. I like the Volcanoes and because you can get a lot of filament out, but I also like the regular E3 V6 just because if anything breaks, you can swap out components like nothing and you never have to worry about it. And they're just generally reliable. I know people have had good experience with clones, but I really prefer my genuine V6s. I swap them on every machine I have. Next thing is I've swapped for the open builds pulleys. So over there is a pulley mount and on the Y-axis as well. I've also for the belt done the adjustable connector instead of having a fixed one. So I get all my tightening done with a screwdriver instead of relying on these little spring clips. I've also swapped out to 20 tooth pulleys on both the X and Y, as well as gone to a higher 84 inch ounce high torque motor that can take up to 2.5 amps. I really like this it just gives me a lot better speed. Most of the time I like to print at around 150 millimeters per second. This print isn't going there because it isn't large enough. It's a very small E3D clip for my CR10 that we'll see in a different video with everything done with that. But I'm really quite pleased with the performance of it. I mean, stuff like this is printed at 150 millimeters per second. The black is from the screws that I put in, so it's not burning or anything like that. But it's pretty good shape for 150. Anyways, back to the extruder. The Bowden drives are the new extruder that I have posted. I really like them. They extrude flexibles just as fast as they do anything else. Things like my phone case here, pretty easy, pretty good. Really like it. But that's that. I can do nylons and whatever with the same extruder. Just pull it out and push a new one in. You don't have to have settings like the flexion or whatever the heck it's called for that. It drives me nuts. The cable chain, it's a little tilted right now because I had the raised plate modification. So the stand I made for it is heightened. I haven't changed that back. Once I get everything nice and configured and appropriately tuned, I'll be tying down all those cables and making sure I have enough strain relief and making all of those wires up in that nest really clean. It's a bit torn apart since I had to replace an entire board and rewire everything. Even the stepper motors I had to rewire since the GTX5 down there does not have the connectors. It just has screw terminals, so I had to repin everything every time. And then, as you can see from the light, I have also, forgive me here as I putz around, LEDs all the way around just to light up the build plate. I like to have a camera on it a lot of the times just to watch it. I probably won't as much now, now that I have Ethernet controlled board. It was just a good feature to have with Octoprint, which I was using before, but I won't. And then I have the filament in an airtight container, and then there is more Teflon tube with a fitting. Hold on, maybe we can see it. More Teflon tube with a fitting there, so it goes in the block. A little bit of air in the block, and then it goes right back in the Teflon tube in there. So this way I keep my filament always fresh whenever I use it. When it's not in that container, I switch it back and put it in a vacuum bag with desiccant so everything stays nice and fresh. Another thing that changed between last video and now is where the extruders actually are. So I've had a Bowden extruder for 4 years now, something like that, pretty much since the start of this. And before I put it on the top up there. Sorry about the hand. And so the channel would go back and forth. But as the extruder raised, it would run into an issue where it would start making really weird shapes, and not the best bend. So I was having some issues with that. So based on what my CR10 does, I went for something that mounts on the Z itself. So as it raises, the extruders go with it, keeps the same amount of length, the same curl, and I've really liked that experience. Sure, I lose a little bit of Z height, but that's not all that important to me personally. I'm sure some of you might think it's very important, and I mean that's up to the person, but I really like the consistency and the fact that I wasn't getting kinks moving back and forth. That's about everything that I can think of that I've done on this particular machine in terms of modifications. I really like it. Oh, I mean, I do have dampers, forgive me. You can't tell, I just do this off the top of my head. But if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what I did right, let me know what I did wrong. I like to do more of these videos, kind of what I do, why I do it, kind of type stuff. Thank you.